Simo! Whoa, 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 Simo. Hi. Are you ready?
People love your intros. It's great.
We go for it here. We aren't shy, introverted nerds. We're big and outspoken and bombastic entertainers on this channel. And you know what's entertaining? You know what's entertaining about Magic the Gathering?
What's that?
Whether or not these cards got banned.
Hitting you with a giant cactar was going to be my answer, but okay, sure.
Now that that's a reality, I don't even know anymore. Like, I played into it before it happened. Now that it's just happening on a regular basis, check out the Clips channel, by the way, CovertGoPodcast.
There you go.
Now that it's just happening in the wild, like I can just be playing a game of Magic and then I have to think about this cactar hitting me in the face. I think I hate it more.
I'm so happy the prophecy's been fulfilled. I'm so happy that I see that this is like actually not like a meme, and it's like, well, it's kind of a meme, but it's also like not bad. It actually seems like this is like a viable strategy that some people have been taking advantage of, but we're not here for that. We're here for banned cards, it seems like, which is much more boring, to be honest. I thought we were just going to look at cactuses all. How many cactuses are in Magic the Gathering? That was what I was looking forward to.
God. No, we don't have to do that yet. And maybe someday we can do a video about a cactar being banned. Today, this is just a very simple, I'm going to show you cards. And the interesting thing about all of these cards is that they're on Magic the Gathering Arena. So these are things that my audience have probably seen. Although not all these cards were banned in the Arena era.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yes.
So Magic Arena doesn't have the entire Magic card pool in it.
No.
Is it just like whatever's legal and standard, or like how does it work?
Oh, it's a great question. It is a bit weeds. We're getting a little weedy. But so I'll try to how to sum this. From a certain point, which is around Kaladesh. Forward, like a certain number of sets, they have almost all of the cards. There were some things they didn't bother programming because it would cost money to do and nobody plays it.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
But they started in the Amonkhet Standard era. They printed all the sets since then going forward, which this is like 2017, something like that. They printed everything forward. And they started printing backwards, and they stopped at a certain point.
Interesting.
Because they're like, that's enough of that. They were printing too many cards. Then they've created a bunch of anthology sets over the years where they introduce cards from the past that they know people want for the Eternal formats on Arena. So they're picking and choosing 30 cards here, Masters sets, Pioneer Masters there, like a 300 card set once a year. That's a bunch of these cards. So they're picking and choosing here and there without going through the whole catalog.
It's funny you say Eternal format, but they don't have all the cards printed for the Eternal format, unless they do. But
They typically do not. They just barely got to what they consider 99.9% of Pioneer being on Arena. And Pioneer is like the second youngest format.
Interesting. Yeah, because like Master Duel has basically every Yu-Gi-Oh card in it except for like a select few cards that are banned because it's like they're banned, so there's not really like a point to program them. But like every 6 months, they're randomly like, oh, here are 4 cards that are banned that we programmed into Master Duel, which we play for like gimmicky series and stuff. But it's so random that we're missing like 0.01% of the card pool in our game. But anyway, I was just curious how Arena did it because the way you made it sound, it's like you don't have all the cards, which is interesting. But okay. Sure.
You know what? You just opened a big old can of worms.
I bet I did. I bet I did.
I didn't even get into bonus sheets. I didn't even get into like the little like supplemental things that go in booster packs that they do in like every set nowadays, where you get all these cards from the past, special guests. We didn't even cover that, Simo, about all the way that they get various cards on Arena.
Where I give you credit though with Arena is that Arena lines up with the set release of like whatever set is coming out, where Master Duel, we get it later. And it's like not even like a 1-to-1 of the same set. They like make their own packs that are not like the actual packs that we have in the actual game, which is weird. So at least you have that over us. So I'll give you that.
You done?
I'm done. Yeah. We can look at bad cards. Now? Sorry, we can look at bad cards. Right. Yeah. I was just curious. That's all. That was all.
Yeah. You're filibustering. It's okay. I understand. I've done it before. So we're only looking at what they did in Standard. I will probably throw commentary in around other formats, but we're really focusing on when this was Standard legal. Did this card get banned? That is the question of the day. And little side note, I honestly don't know if you've seen some of these, so just tell me right away if
I'll let you know.
Oh, I 100% that no one. Okay. Let's start with this baby.
What the hell is this thing? Omnath Locus of Creation is a red, green, white, blue 4/4 legendary elemental. And when it enters, you draw a card. I wish Yu-Gi-Oh had that. We have like one card that does that. And then it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life. If this is the first time this ability is resolved this turn. If it's the second time, you get to add red, green, white, blue. And if it's the third time, Omnath deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker you don't control. This is a lot of text for a Magic card, by the way. This is like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Oh, really? This is too much text?
I'm not saying it's too much text. I'm saying it's like about as much text as your average Yu-Gi-Oh card is at this point. Here's an interesting question. Does it only go up to 3? So, like, if you played a 4th land, does it just not do anything?
Correct.
Okay. I figured it didn't, like, I figured it didn't keep going based on the wording, but I wasn't sure. So I figured I would ask. Well, it's cool that when you play it, it basically replaces itself. Like, that's nice.
Yeah, you should try it. It's actually really fun when, like, every card draws a card.
Yeah, I couldn't relate. So when you first land, you gain 4 life. Second land, you get 4 extra mana, which seems really good. And then third time, it just deals 4 to each opponent. It's only opponent and planeswalker. Interesting. Okay. I think the third effect is, like, kind of whatever. I feel like obviously, it's a 4/4. You can play it. It draws a card. That seems okay. I feel like you're trying to play this for the second one. I have a question. Were fetch lands legal at the time that this card was?
Not the fetch lands you're thinking of.
Okay.
Those fetch lands were rotated and not a part of the format, this Standard format. There is a card, just really a card. I will share it with you. You may have seen it. It's been a part of Standard Magic quite a bit for the last few years. It's legal in Standard right now, actually.
Okay.
So it gets printed a lot. There you go.
Fabled Passage. I don't know if I've seen this. You tap it, sacrifice it, search for a basic land. Okay, so it's like a fetch land, but only gets basics. Essentially,
it only gets basics, and it
comes in tapped.
It comes in tapped unless you have 4 more lands.
You can untap it. Okay, so this is like, so you're saying this is like one of the only ways you can like trigger Omnath to get the second effect.
In terms of just hitting your land drop, yes, it's kind of that self-contained trigger.
Or there are other like green cards that can like give you like extra lands and stuff. Because there's like, what is there like there's just the thing that's just like you can play and it just gives you an extra land that's like tapped or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'll get. So there are so many of these type of effects that have been printed. It's a very regular part of Green to be able to get extra lands onto the battlefield. I'll give you one card that was printed in the same set for your context, but assume that this is not a weird effect.
Okay. I figure it seems very Green. Roiling Regrowth, 2 and a green, sacrifice a land, search your life for 2 basic lands, pound them and tap. Okay, all right, cool. Okay, so, all right, interesting question. With Roiling Regrowth, it puts 2 lands out. Does that count for the second and third, or does that only count as one time?
It counts as 2 land triggers. It's 2 landfall triggers, because every time 1 land enters is a landfall trigger. Depending how many lands you've already played that turn and where Omnath is in that stair step depends on which triggers go off.
That's very interesting, because in Yu-Gi-Oh! It would only count as 1 trigger, because they're technically both entering at the same time. So, like, for instance, Max C, your favorite card, if you, like, special summon 5 guys at once, it's only considered 1 summon, so they only draw 1 card. They don't draw 5 off of Max C.
Magic differentiates that by the text of whenever a land enters versus whenever one or more lands enter.
Oh, okay. So it is a text thing. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Okay, so now this is going to beg the next question of what determines like something getting banned in Standard versus like the Legacy or Eternal formats? Because since Standard has set rotation, even if something's powerful, there's like an end to it at some point, even if that end is like far away. So it's like, do you get the question I'm asking? Like, I feel like the criteria for banning something in Standard isn't the same as banning it in like Commander, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they evaluate it the same way.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes.
Dartboard.
So I was going to describe going to a local pub, looking at the walls of said establishment, identifying the circle with the circles within circles, asking for shiny objects from the bartender
that are sharp,
and then flinging in general direction and equating that to the strategy. Basically, what got banned in... Like, you're going to see from this video, we haven't done, like, just Standard bans in a minute.
Sure.
What gets banned in Standard has a lot to do with the philosophy of the people in charge at the time.
Okay, so the Konami philosophy, great. Okay, so basically someone lost to this. They probably just chose to ban it. Great. All right. Also, if it enters, so, like, you could, like, reanimate it, but, like, that's more of, like, a black thing. Although, like, there might be other cards that do it. Or you could, like... What do you call it? Flickering? Is that it? Like, that's not a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because does that count as, like, re-entering?
Yes. Not only that, it resets the landfall count on the card.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. So then, like, there might be ways then to, like, get the second effect multiple times and, like, keep going.
Clone, flicker, reanimate. Those are the tenets of, does it have an enters trigger? Can we abuse this?
Clone, it's so funny because like out of those three, Yu-Gi-Oh only has like reanimate. We don't have, there's like a couple cards that do a cloning thing, but they're really bad. And like the flicker concept like just doesn't exist in Yu-Gi-Oh, which I think would be really cool because there's like a lot of like neat interactions that like that would like actually introduce into the game, maybe for better or for worse, but you know, I still think it'd be cool if we had it, but we just don't. My biggest red flag is the fact that this is a add 4 mana that's like potentially like abusable. That's like the red flag for me here. Everything else on this seems like kind of fine, and the fact he replaces himself is like really good. But like I'm just like Yu-Gi-Oh brain is like, okay, how do we abuse the fact that this thing adds 4 every time we get multiple lands? Because then it's like you can like bring it back out and then like do it again and just like keep going, and then you go like super wide and your opponent just like is this in this situation that's like insurmountable, and then you just win the game because of that. And so maybe that's a thing. Everything else kind of just seems like fine. Like the first landfall, like who cares? The third one, who cares? It's really just like the fact he replaces himself and like can cheat a bunch of mana out is like the red flags. Is that ban worthy in a Standard format that has rotation? I guess this is going to be like the litmus test, and this is going to set the standard for like how the rest of the video goes. Fuck it. I'll say yes. I'll say they banned this card. I think the ban a cheating thing is very dangerous, so I'm going to go with they banned it.
Okay. Omnath Locus of Creation is just one of my favorite printings for completely self-indulgent reasons.
It has blue in it, so I would hope so.
It does have blue. This card came at the end of the Eldraine era on Magic Arena. And at the time of rotations, Zendikar Rising was issuing a rotation to a bunch of cards that had come before. Not Eldraine, but everything before Eldraine. So Eldraine was still going to be legal, but at this point, so many cards have been banned from the Eldraine era that people were optimistic that we had finally nerfed that era of Magic, and we were moving away from everything being insanely busted.
And then we printed Omnath.
Omnath showed up. And oh my God, this is one of the first times where I actually read a card in spoiler season and we had a podcast.
Okay.
I literally called it on the spot. I'm like, this is banned. This
really?
It's by a mile the best card in the set. Like,
wow.
Not even close. And it has like just the fact that you get everything from it, it replaces itself. And if they don't kill it, you know, by the next turn, you're gaining enough life that aggro doesn't matter. You're making enough mana to do degenerate things. If you have exactly the Omnath into Fabled Passage, you double back the mana on the very same turn and use it for something, anything. It is absolutely insane. And actually, the 4 damage to Planeswalkers specifically was relevant at the time.
Interesting.
Because as you'll find out in this video, Planeswalkers existed that had static effects that were more like enchantments on the board
interesting.
that were limiting how like your cards worked. So Omnath picking those off was actually a big deal. Yeah, Omnath Locus of Creation was supposed to be the end of the Fire Era design, and what's really stunning is how they tried to avoid banning it, only to see it be like over 50, like a huge amount of the meta. The meta was almost all Omnath. I believe there was a top 8 of a pro event where it was 7 Omnaths and 1 not Omnath, we'll say.
You said Fire Era. What does that mean?
So the Fire Design era, like Magic, like something happened with Eldraine Standard, which you're familiar with because of Oko. Okay.
Yeah, I know you he's remember from that Oko. Set. Okay, I remember Oko. Yeah.
So they released an article talking about how they were intentionally, the Magic designers at Wizards of the Coast were intentionally trying to power up Standard. They called it Fire Design. I'm going to find this because it's very funny. It's a very known article of its time because it's
we have those in Yu-Gi-Oh. We have those in Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah.
It honestly was one of the few times that like we can remember that they came out and actually talked about their design for Magic and what they were trying to achieve. And what most people like mentally associate Fire Design with is busted, ban it all.
Okay.
That's what they remember. Good. That suddenly Standard went from a pretty stable format. Remember we did Tarkir.
God, right? Tarkir,
they didn't
so
ban
sweet.
Treasure Cruise. They didn't ban Dig Through Time. They didn't ban anything from the Abzan deck. You played that whole format. Nothing got banned. There were plenty of things that were powerful, but nothing got banned. They went from that to a period of time where Standard had to go through wave after wave after wave of banning because every set just kept on introducing cards that were insane. So let's read what Fire Designs did. I think that's what they were going for. The problem is that Fire Design coincided with the growth of Arena. And Arena is a place where you can play hundreds of games of Standard in a week. More games are now played in the first day that a set is legal on Arena than used to be played of the entire format, like during its entire legality, because people would wait to go play Standard at their local game store. Like they were playing once a week instead of all day every day.
Yeah, I believe it.
So the F in Fire Design stands for fun. Above all else, our game should be fun to play.
Okay.
Fun is about interesting decisions, diverse gameplay experiences, and each game being unique. That's what they typed.
Okay.
I is for inviting. Our game should be accessible to many people. This means that formats should be accessible to newer or less enfranchised players without having resonant cards and by having resonant cards and comprehensible gameplay. That's why it's really funny that you mentioned the text count.
Yu-Gi-Oh could never relate to that. Anyway, next letter.
R is for replayable.
Okay.
The basically the key aspects of replayability are balance and diversity.
When there's 7 Omnaths in the top 8. Yeah, okay. All right.
We try to get a wide variety of decks and strategies to about the right power level, is what they said.
All right.
Okay. E is for exciting. Players should be excited to read the cards and play with them. It's a really funny thing to look back on Fire Design, because if we were talking about how it actually affected Magic, it is the F, the I, and the R are very small, and the E is rather huge. Yes, it's exciting to read and build Omnath.
E is capital in Fire. Yeah.
Now let's talk about replayable. Every time Omnath comes down, and then from then on, every land that enters, there's a trigger that creates, and if it creates another land, like Rolling Regrowth or Fabled Passage, there's another trigger, which makes more mana, which plays another card, that creates another trigger. And you do this every game, and every turn they take takes
That just
forever.
sounds like Yu-Gi-Oh to me. I'm just saying, like, we're used to that.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they really enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh. They'll never admit such a thing, but it does. Like I can see it, you know. So this was Fire Design in action. Omnath was supposed to be near the end of it, where they basically admitted they went too far and were going to start scaling it back.
Okay,
and then Omnath came out like right after that, and
That's
people
so
are
funny.
like, "Duh."
That's hilarious. So our infamous article, for context, is I think it's like 2011 or 2012 when they actually, for the first time ever, gave an explanation for why they banned certain cards. The explanations were horrible. Everyone made fun of it, and then we never got explanations ever again.
Nice.
It's great. It's great.
Good stuff. So Omnath was released in September. This is what year is this? This is 2020.
Oh, so kind of recent. Okay.
Yep. Released in September, banned in October.
Wow, a month? That's wild.
Believe it or not, there was a ban announcement while Omnath was legal before the one that banned Omnath that banned something else. We may or may not get to that.
That's funny. I can see people were probably pissed if that were the case.
Oh my gosh.
Yu-Gi-Oh's done that too, where it's like there's a card that should be banned and then they don't, and it's like the next list and people are just fuming.
Yep.
Great.
We've had a couple of those moments. They're notable, we'll say. And there may even be a couple in this video.
Good. So, I'm glad it took us 20 minutes to get through one card. Fantastic.
We've set the bar.
We've set the bar. Buckle
now
up,
let's
everyone.
keep firing away.
All right. So this set the tone at least. So at least I know what I'm working with. All right.
Absolutely. The one in Best of One is coming to MagicCon Las Vegas. I'm hosting a Best of One Standard event on Friday and Saturday at MagicCon Las Vegas. You always thought you could take down the one in Best of One? Well, here's your chance. Bring a standard deck and join the event on Friday, June 20th or Saturday, June 21st. This is an 8-round, 25-minute Swiss Best of One showdown. Every player gets a special set of blue sunglasses to unlock your inner CGB. Get to 8 wins? You'll get 30,000 ticks, a playmat, a jumbo card, and an uncut sheet of Magic the Gathering. So bring your very best to MagicCon Las Vegas. Check out my link in the description and sign up for the CovertGoBlue Best of One Standard Challenge. And I will see you there. You're cool.
Well, it's a blue card, so it's probably banned. Commandeer. This is a 5 and 2 blue for an instant. You may remove 2 blue cards in your hand from the game rather than pay its mana cost. All right, it's already banned. Gain control of target non-creature spell. You may choose new targets for it. What is it? So the wording is kind of weird. So like, it can't be like you're not taking an actual spell. It means like an artifact. I guess if I read the actual parentheses, it would tell me if that spell is an artifact or an enchantment, the permanent comes into play under your control. So it's not like you actually get like an actual spell. It means like something that's like a permanent. Yes.
Oh, it could also be a spell.
Oh, it could be. So it could be like a sorcery and instant. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. It just can't be a creature. In fact,
it's just the weird. It's like the way it's worded is kind of weird.
Yeah, here's the art from Arena. It even removed the friendly reminder text. Yeah, this is the breaking news wanted poster from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, the cowboy set.
This is like, usually I'm excited to see your guys' art. This is hideous. This is ugly. And I'm sorry if that offends people, but that's like maybe the most like atrocious art I've seen on a card ever.
I am so with you. And this
Commandeer looks sick. Commandeer is cool.
This is the only art available on Arena as of this moment.
So you have to play it.
So you have to get this if you want to play it. Yeah.
Okay. So you never paid for this. Huh?
Yeah, just really quick, let the audience know again, we're talking about Cold Snap Standard. So this is actually a pretty old card. Cold Snap came out a long time ago. What is it? 2006.
I think I remember because I think there was like a sneak peek at the same venue that they were doing a Yu-Gi-Oh sneak peek or like pre-release event for this set randomly. I think they like shared the venue space or something. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, that triggers a memory, like seeing that symbol. Anyway, okay, so you're never actually paying for this card. So you're always like just exiling 2 blue cards, and then just you get something. How good is that in your game? You guys have plenty of card draw, so you can afford to pitch 2 cards. Not that you necessarily want to, but it's not like, especially because you're in blue, you're gonna draw like 4,000 cards anyway. I don't know, like, how good this is in your game. Like, Take Control in Yu-Gi-Oh! For the longest time was, like, really good, and it was banned for a lot of the best cards that did it, and there was, like, some cards that were unplayable that did it because they had to put so many restrictions on it. And now it's interesting because it's, like, it's legal again, and it's, like, fine. It's good, but it's not, like, game-breaking or anything like it used to be. Like, I think I've showed you cards that, like, it got banned, and then now it's at like 3 copies and like it's playable and it's like it's still good, which is like the crazy thing. Is this like a common effect in Magic, or is this like is gaining control of stuff not super common?
Gaining control of spells on the stack is not common.
Okay. What about just gaining control of stuff generally?
Gaining control of the opponent's things, it's a very blue effect, especially permanently.
Okay.
Temporary control can be taken by red with niche cards, but blue does have a regular part of blue's identity is gaining control of opposing things.
Okay.
The price tag on those is generally like 4 to 5 mana, but 5 or more nowadays.
Okay.
But there's usually 1 card in every set that gains control of something of the opponents.
Okay, so it's not like uncommon. Yeah, because like you only had like a few specific cards that did it, and they were all so good that they got banned. But you could also take control of like anything, where Yu-Gi-Oh! You're only taking control of creatures with this card. That's very interesting.
This cannot gain a creature.
I mean, yeah, it's the opposite. This doesn't get a creature. This is anything but a creature. That's what I meant to say. Sorry. This is interesting because from like it depends, like, again, this is very vibes based, right? Based on whoever's like in charge of the ban list, because I could see a world where this gets banned because it creates like a negative play experience because people don't like when their stuff gets stolen. That's just like a general thing that like all card game players like hate. And this does that. But like, is that okay? Like, I'm thinking, like, maybe it's just, like, that's why they banned it, because they didn't want people to have, like, a bad time playing against this. Not necessarily that it was, like, broken or anything like that. I don't think this got banned. I think it's good, but I'm not buying it.
And you would be right. Commandeer was never banned in Standard. It is a very powerful effect, and it was considered a good and niche card, but it made it all the way through its Standard existence without facing the ban hammer. Woo! And would probably be described as fine by competitive players. I don't think anybody was lobbying for Commandeer to get banned.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, in its arena life, it was reintroduced through a bonus sheet for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, the breaking news sheet, like I mentioned, with that beautiful art. And it was pre-banned.
What?
Preemptively banned in the historic format and remains banned in that format. It was never given a shot in historic, which is Arena's like kind of eternal format. It's not even really full eternal because of timeless. So we talk about Darth at a board.
Okay.
I have no idea how the historic format is managed. It makes no sense to me. Historic is also a controversial format in Magic because you can change cards. Like the cards can be nerfed and buffed.
They really?
Can be
that's
rebalanced.
interesting.
They change them digitally. Yes.
Interesting.
They have digital only cards from Alchemy, and they adjust some cards in Historic to both reduce and increase their power level. But with Commandeer, they preemptively banned it.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some other preemptively banned cards in Historic from the same set include Mana Drain and Reanimate, and that probably
Mana Drain
isn't
seems
surprising.
nuts because you use that on us in our Commander game. That card seems crazy.
mana drain's busted, and the fact that it's even on Arena blows my mind. And reanimate 1 mana, get a thing out of the graveyard. Sure, that was a mistake when it was printed, and yep. But Commandeer, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Anyway, that's why I had to share Commandeer.
Let us know in the comments if you know why. I'm curious.
Let's go to. I'm actually excited about this.
Oh, God.
I'm going to show you a card that I'm sure is going to tug at your heartstrings because I know you're a huge fan. Huge fan. You are Equipment's biggest fan, Simo.
I would disagree with that entirely after our Commander game.
You are an Equipment deck's biggest fan.
I've learned why I'm probably never going to play an Equipment deck ever again after that Commander game. Stoneforge Mystic. Cool art. 1 and a white for a core...
Yeah.
Artificer? Is that who's okay? All right.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Is that like just like a tribe in this set?
Yes, it's a people of Zendikar, I believe.
Okay, that's like their like race. Okay, interesting.
A humanoid of Zendikar. Yeah.
Okay, sure. When this enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle it. And then for 1 and a white, you may put an equipment card from your hand onto the battlefield. That's kind of cool. So it helps you, like, not only... this is kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh card. You actually get to tutor a card, and then there's a way to, like, kind of cheat it out, because I guess if it's, like, an expensive equipment card, instead of having to, like, pay its cost, you just pay 1 and white to get it out.
Yeah.
And you can do that next turn.
Yeah, here is the special guest artwork that is currently available on Arena from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction special guest bonus cards.
To be fair... It looks pretty good. Like, I still like the original, but this looks better than like the Commandeer thing you showed me. That was like atrocious.
Do you like their hat? Are you a fan of the hat?
The hat's cool. I like that there's like the molten like lava going into like the forge to like make that. I think it's cool. It's fine. I think she looks better without the hat personally, but we're not here to judge the art. We're here to judge the card. God, I'm going to say this is, like, fine. You're going to say, like, this card's broken.
Would you like to see some equipments? Would you like to read some weapons?
If you want to give me, like, the weapon. Like, what's, like, the thing people were doing with this?
Why would you only run one thing when this can get you such a nice variety?
Because you don't want to, like, draw them, my guess would be. Because that's what happened to me.
I think the only right way to do this is to show you 2, to be honest.
Okay, 2 is fine. 2 is fine. I didn't want to see, like, 10. Batterskull. What the fuck is this? 5 mana for an artifact equipment. Living weapon. When this enters the battlefield, put a 0/0 black germ creature token onto the battlefield, then attack. Oh, interesting. So you don't need the creature for it. That's kind of cool. It gets +4/+4 and has vigilance and lifelink. Interesting. That seems annoying. For 3, you can return this to its owner's hand, and equip is 5. So that's cute, because you can play it out for 2, and then equip it for 3. Well, you don't have to. I mean, I'm sorry. It's already on the thing. The 3 bounces it back. Sorry.
Yeah, the equip is 5.
So it's just like a guy that you get to play for free. That's kind of crazy. Okay. Cool. Sick. And then Sword of Feast and Famine. This card looks sick. 3 mana. Equip creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from black and from green. And then when it deals damage to a player, the player discards a card and you untap all lands you control. Okay, we actually found good equipment.
Are we getting him back? Is he gonna play a sword again?
You might get me back. Honestly, I wish I had that instead of the Buster Sword or the Batterskull.
I was gonna say it's no Buster Sword. That's for sure.
Okay, so you go Stoneforge Mystic on 2, you search Batterskull, and then next turn you can just play Batterskull, and you get this 4/4 Vigilance Lifelink thing on turn 3. Weird question. I'm assuming the Germ still has Summoning Sickness, though, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so you can't attack immediately. Wanted to make sure with, like, rules how that would work. Or you just get Sword of Feast and Famine. You can play Sword. You can cheat it out. You still have to equip it to something. These are cool. These are neat. This is like, giving me, back into like liking equipment to an extent. I'll give it to you.
Okay, good.
Ban-worthy, though? Ban-worthy?
What does equipment have to do?
I don't
what does
see
equipment have to do to be bannable?
I don't see it. I don't see it at all. This is like very funny. I think I've showed it to you before, but I'm not sure. I think in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, I think there's only been one equip spell, which is like our version of equipment, I guess. I think there's only been one equip spell ever that's been banned. Because they're just like, for the most part, fine. So I don't know. This seems like fine to me. I guess it depends on like the way the format of the environment is. This looks like an older card. Is this old?
It is.
So maybe in an older format, this is actually pretty good. I feel like by modern Magic, this is like not that impressive. From what I know, obviously I know very little. Older though, I feel like the Batter Skull could be very annoying to deal with. The Sword could be annoying depending on the decks. Like if green and black are prominent colors, that could possibly be a problem. But even so, like the Sword's effect is just crazy otherwise. Like the protection's fine too, but like being able to untap all your lands and discard a card, make your opponent discard a card is crazy. I don't think they banned it. I think it's very good. I don't know if it's good enough. I think it really depends if the format is like a lot slower, I feel like this card could be ban worthy. But that's context I lack. So I'm gonna say it's like this was like very good and maybe like a tier 1 deck potentially, but I don't know if they banned it. I'm gonna say no.
That gives you your thumbnail. Mystic. Hey, I really was excited to show you a card built around equipment after our game. Stoneforge Mystic. This little core. Oh my goodness. So it was part of the backbone of a deck in its time that went on to do a lot of damage in the world of Magic the Gathering, specifically in Standard. The deck known as Cawblade. I think I've referenced it here or there, and I've shown you a card from it before, and I'll show you Stoneforge's sidekick in a minute. Okay. But what people discovered with Stoneforge Mystic wasn't that it's like the aggro, get weapons, put a bunch of weapons on a thing, attack, like your Cloud Commander deck was trying to do. This was a control deck. In so many ways. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Because what they found is that you could play Stoneforge Mystic, go get your Batter Skull, and the ability to activate Stoneforge and put the Batter Skull into play was something that could be done at instant speed.
Okay. All right.
If the opponent couldn't get rid of the Stoneforge, they also couldn't attack you with a Stoneforge up, because you just cheat out a Batter Skull and eat their attacker and gain life. And if they were trying to hold up removal or interaction for the Batter Skull, and they didn't kill the Stoneforge Mystic, then the Stoneforge would sit there staring at you until you had enough mana to cheat out the Batter Skull. And when they try to kill the Batter Skull, return it to hand and repeat the next turn. Ad nauseum.
Interesting.
And
okay.
If they pivoted to ways to deal with Batter Skull, but they were using, say, the popular black removal spells or the large green creatures to block it, the sideboard or sometimes one of main deck pivot would be to go get your Sword of Feast and Famine and just take over the game that way, as now almost anything is a mega ramp card. So you could put this on, say, a Mesa Falcon, a 1/1 creature for 2 mana with flying.
But if it's flying... yeah, then it has evasion, so you can just get over and make sure Sword actually resolves. Interesting. Okay.
Yep. The Mesa Falcon of its time was Squadron Hawk, a 2-mana 1/1 flying bird that, when it entered, let you search your library for as many cards as you could find named Squadron Hawk and put them into your hand.
That rocks.
So, yep, a 1/1 bird that drew 3 more 1/1 birds. Delightful. This deck was so dominant in its time that in a major competitive event, 75% of the meta got to be Cawblade.
Wow.
Got to be Stoneforge Mystic led Cawblade.
It's getting banned.
And there was a particular sidekick, we'll say, or was Stoneforge. Which one was Batman? Which one was Robin? You tell me. You might remember Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Oh boy, I do.
Who was also in this deck the core, you might say, backbone of the blue-white Caw-Blade deck. And with a ban announcement, both Stoneforge Mystic and Jace the Mind Sculptor were kicked out of Standard. So
that's really
this
interesting.
One did get banned.
I didn't pick up on the fact that you could just like keep bouncing it back to hand and just replaying it. That's I think from like a control perspective, that's really strong. That's crazy.
Fun fact, Jace is on Arena as well, and this is Jace the Mind Sculptor's Arena art.
Why is he a fox?
It's a Bloomborough art, dude.
Why is he a fox? Oh my God.
This is what you have to play if you're going to play Jace.
This is why alt arts are a mistake. I'm just going to say it. Just keep the original cards, people. Oh my God.
I appreciate this so much. You have no idea.
I bet. That's like a disgrace. I'm sorry. I'm sure some people love it. It's not for me.
Next card.
Fires of Invention. That's what my ancestors look like with the beard. 3 mana and a red, so it's 4 total for an enchantment. You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. Whoa, that's a restriction. This card's probably going to be crazy. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost. Well, that explains it. This seems like a problem. Just being able to just like... God, I'm just like... This is like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain just going crazy right now. Because it's like, as long as you just have this, just everything's free. And you just play a deck that's like, okay... Fires and Invention on 4 or whatever. Maybe play some green so you can even do it earlier. You play it on 4, and if your whole deck is like everything like 4 or less, then everything's just free.
But only 2 spells a turn. And
only 2 spells a turn. But
Fires counts as 1.
If you do it that turn, yeah. But does that matter? Like if there's like combos that you can do... I don't know if there's like any like 2-card combos that are just like they win you the game type of thing. That's like my inclination here. Well, that is based on how many lands you have, so there's that. Or is it bait? Because you know how I feel about free. And so I know you picked this card probably for that exact reason. So now we get into the mind games. No more than 2 spells each turn is like an interesting restriction. But if you just have a 2-card combo that wins you the game, you don't care. And if your opponent has no way to stop it, then like they just lose. Yeah, I could say they banned it.
Just on the it's free, just going with it?
Yeah, because it's like if there's any like... There's probably just an abundance of random 2-card combos that like because it's free, you probably can just win the game immediately. And that would be like, you set this up, and if your opponent, it's like you're putting your opponent in check. And if they don't have a way to answer it, you probably just like win the game like immediately. That would be my guess. There could also just be a world where you just like completely just start outvaluing your opponent in a way. But I think it's more the former than the latter. And I'll be wrong, but I don't know. I feel like there'd be some dumb combo deck that's like super non-interactive that plays this and then like does something to win the game, and people got really mad about it because it was like that was like the best thing you could do and they banned it. So I'm going to go with that.
Fires of Invention came out in Eldraine at a time
when... Oh, great. Is this when the fire philosophy was still going on?
It was.
How fitting. How fitting.
It is. And it... You know, in that world of Oko and things like that, when Fires first came out, everybody saw the potential. They loved brewing with it. And I played Fires, actually, in one of the very first tournaments it was legal in.
Wow, you played a non-blue thing? I'm shocked.
You think I didn't run blue? That's crazy. You think because this is a...
Sorry,
Fires,
you can still play blue with it.
One of the great crimes that Fires probably committed is that it only costs 1 red and 3 other. It's not a heavy devotion to red. You just need 1 red mana from somewhere, and now your color abilities are virtually unlocked.
Yep.
The Fires of Invention deck ran several cards like these. I'm going to show you. You don't have to read them.
Sure.
Cavalier of Flame and Kenrith the Return King. And what I want you to notice on both of them is that they have these activated abilities. So it was a way to play these creatures that can gain haste so they can attack the turn they enter and actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! And also use your mana for these other abilities. Because remember, you're not tapping your lands for any of this.
Right.
So you would go Fires and then maybe one other stall tactic card. And the next turn you would go Cavalier and Kenrith and use my 5 mana to activate some abilities and do some things and attack for teeming amounts of damage. The pressure that Fires put on was quite a bit. But this deck was totally fine. This deck was just another deck in the Eldraine era, and it was occasionally considered tier 1 and very threatening, but wasn't something that people were very concerned about. No, what got Fires banned was something that happened about 6 months later, which I'm going to keep up my sleeve for a little longer. But you're right that Fires got banned.
Okay, we'll take it. I've learned anything between these videos with like you and Rare, and it's like anytime there's like mana cheating, that's just like the big red flag. So that's what I got to look for.
It's a problem. It is
Cavalier Flame, by the way, sick art. Cool
Absolutely. Next card. The Worst Possible Commander Show is coming to MagicCon Las Vegas. We will be live playing in front of the crowd at 11 a.m. on Sunday, June 22nd. So see me, CGB, as well as Shay against Voxy and Amy the Amazonian throwing down with some of the more classic and beloved commanders in the game. So come to the Worst Possible Commander Show live at 11 a.m. on Sunday at MagicCon Las Vegas. There's a link in the description to make sure that you get your tickets today. As always, we'll see you there, and you're cool.
Cauldron Familiar. This is 1 black for a 1/1 cat. Shout out to Rarin. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And then you sacrifice a food. Return this from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. This on surface seems very unassuming. However, why would you show me this card otherwise?
Have you done much with food? Have you had foods in our games? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think I have. If I have, like, I don't know if I have, actually. What's a food?
A food is a token that several cards out of Eldraine create. This is another Eldraine card, by the way. That it is an artifact token that for 2 and a tap, you can sacrifice it and gain 3 life.
2, tap it, sacrifice it, gain 3 life.
Yes.
Interesting. So you can sack one of those and so I'm assuming that in Eldraine there's plenty of like things that can like make these foods.
There are many. I'll just cut to one of the ones that everybody is going to associate with Cauldron Familiar.
Sure. Witch's Oven. It costs 1. You sacrifice a creature, create a food token. If it's toughness 4 or greater, you get 2 food tokens. That makes sense because he's bigger, so you get more food out of him. Interesting. So you can... Oh, thank you. I need to see the lovely fruits. Why are the bananas like corkscrew? Whatever. I'm not going to get into that. They look like Cheetos. Remember the twisty Cheetos? That's what that reminds me of.
Yes.
So you can Cauldron Familiar. Each opponent loses a life. You gain a life. You can sack the Cauldron Familiar to Witch's Oven, which gives you a food. And then you can sack the food to bring back the Cauldron Familiar, which then triggers. And then you can just like do this infinitely. Oh no, because you tap the Witch's Oven. So you'd have to have a way to like untap the Witch's Oven. But it's like theoretically there's like an infinite combo here that you could like just like drain your opponents for everything. Okay.
I will say that would come up with future printings, but going infinite with Cauldron Familiar was not an issue in Standard, just to help your analysis.
Okay. They really banned a cat? There's no way.
This is just
this is just the mind games at this point, because it's just like, oh my god, there could be like some other card in the combo if there is like some combo with this that got banned, and like this is fine. But then it's like, are you showing me this because I would think that, and this card actually is banned, and it's just like very unassuming, and it's like, because I've showed you plenty of bad cards that they banned in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't think this card seems like bad for the record. It seems fine. God, there's no way. Like, I get like what you can do with this, but they had to ban the cat. No shot. There's no way. I will take the bait here, and if you're baiting me, that's fine. There's no shot they ban this.
Cauldron Familiar.
Oh God. He's already starting off like that.
In the fire design world,
I hear him smiling ear to ear as he's talking about this.
In the fire design world, many sins were committed in terms of card design, some would say. But of all of them, I don't think any card was as annoying as Cauldron Familiar.
Really?
This was the most annoying card, some might say, printed in Standard since I don't know what. And everybody has their own triggers. Everybody will have their bias. But my God, I can't think of many games that I personally like. I can't think of a card that made me rage quit as many games as Cauldron Familiar.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I am 100% serious. This card, it did a lot to invalidate aggro on its own. The Witch's Oven combo meant you could block almost any attacking thing, sacrifice it to the oven, bring it back, gain and drain, and just sit there doing nothing but triggering these things over and over. Every time you tap the oven and sack the cat, a trigger goes off. Every time you sacrifice a food to return the cat to the battlefield, a trigger goes off. Every time. And then, heaven forbid, they have one cat and 3 ovens. And you can just sack, return, and you do this every turn. Every single turn, over and over. Now, that is against aggro. This is where I get mad. If you are a control deck, there's like nothing you can do because you don't have a board presence, so the cat's attacking you every turn. If you try to use any interactive spell, they just sack and bring it back over and over. And the long game, there is none. You're just cooked in the oven. It's just, you're going to die. You can try to drag the game out for 6 or 7 turns like a control deck wanted to do, and it's just death by a million, some would say 10,000 tiny needles. It's a death by a million cuts, and it takes forever. It was so frustrating and annoying. I don't even know how to properly explain it. And let me show you one more card that if something had to put the final nail in the coffin, this card.
Mayhem Devil. 1 black and a red for a devil. I would hope so. 3/3. When a player sacrifices a permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target. Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. The machine gun on the fire.
Yeah.
Just every time the cat goes to the graveyard, a damage. Every time you sack the food to bring it back, a damage. It just mowed down everything. By the way, if you ever want our mutual friend Ash to smile, just bring up good old cat oven
I
combo.
bet this is right up her alley.
This was her favorite thing in the world. Yes.
Oh, I bet.
So she was very sad on that day in August of 2020 when Cauldron Familiar was banned. And this is the first one that they actually shouted out the Arena interface as a big reason why. Because in paper, this is 2020, nobody was playing paper at the time because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
In paper, you're just like, I sack this, I bring this back. I sack this, I bring this back. On Arena, click, trigger, stack, click, trigger, stack, click, trigger, stack, target. It took forever. And man, I was in competitive events just scooping on like turn 2. I was just like, I don't want to do this with my day. This is going to take 10 years and I'm going to lose anyway. I just want out. It was a nightmare, man. It's hard to explain if you weren't there. It's a toughie. It was a tough one to swallow. You call
the Yu-Gi-Oh players babies. I'm going to call the Magic players babies for this one. I'm not going to lie. I get the interface thing in terms of like that part, but like really, this was like the tier 1 super mega threat that you were dealing with. Like, I don't know. Like this, like in Yu-Gi-Oh would never fly. Like just straight up.
The deck was arguably rarely tier 1, but it was just the
it wasn't like
trigger. It
wasn't necessarily like great. It was just the fact that it like just took forever.
It was competitive, but yeah, they did acknowledge the ban was mostly because it took forever. Yes.
Interesting.
That's what happened.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is one of the cards that got nerfed in Historic, and it's kind of interesting. I'll show you how they changed the card in Historic so that they didn't have to ban it.
So this wasn't like a tier 1 deck, though. You'd say it was like tier 2, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It was. There were times where it was definitely tier 1.
Okay.
Like, it was a very good choice, but it wasn't always there. Especially against the other things. Now in Alchemy,
so it can't block.
Yeah. That's it.
And then that's it. Huh.
That's it. Yeah.
They were fine
with it hosing control, but yes, the ability not to block and just invalidate any and all aggro attackers. Like, aggro couldn't beat this card if you had this in another. It just couldn't do it, because every turn you got a free block and a gain drain, and you're getting nope, they couldn't handle it. It was an absolute menace.
You have all these cards that like exile cards from graveyards and stuff. Just exile the Cauldron Familiar. It's dead.
That's a great suggestion. How do you suppose you do that when you can use the ability as an instant? Remember, you sacked it for a food. You have the food. If you target it in the graveyard, you just activate Cauldron Familiar in response, and it comes back to the battlefield.
Wait till they sack the food to put this trigger on the stack to bring it back, and then exile it in response.
What if they don't do that? What if they wait till they have 2 foods? What if they just put something else in the oven?
They can stack that. Okay,
and they can do that in response.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I'm telling you, man. It's hard to explain how annoying this was. It was giga annoying. It was an absolute monster. It had to be banned.
I'm also used to Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything's like a hard once per turn, so it's like you just like they wouldn't be able to like do that twice. So that makes sense. Okay. All right. Yeah. Like. Okay, I can kind of see it. It's just funny because it's like, it seems so unassuming, and like, I don't know if they like intended for like these interactions to work the way they did, but that's really interesting. Okay,
let's shift away from these terribly annoying cards to something fair and honest
and blue.
Yes.
Oh, I knew it. I knew there's going to be blue when he's mentioning fair and honest. All right, this is Teferi Time Raveler. 1 and a white and a blue for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. Each opponent can cast spells only anytime they could cast a sorcery. That seems very good. That would be crazy in Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually. God, that would be nuts in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now that I think about it. Anyway. +1, until your next turn, you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. That would also be crazy in Yu-Gi-Oh! -3, return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand. Draw a card. We like drawing cards. We like drawing cards. Oh, man. This card seems nuts. This card seems very good. I wish Yu-Gi-Oh! Had something like this. I think this would be interesting.
You said silence would be good in Yu-Gi-Oh! How about silence attached to board effects attached to card draw?
Well, this isn't silence, because silence, like, you just can't play spells, period. It's like, you're making it so that you can't, like, cast your instant spells at, like, instant speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has so many things that, like, activate at instant speed that, like, that's why I think it would be interesting as sort of like a... that would actually probably be too good, now that I'm thinking about it, because it's just like... I guess it depends on like what it's going after. If it's going after everything, that's broken. If it's like just spell cards, that could be interesting. If it goes after like hand traps and stuff, that would be like giga broken. That'd be a disaster. Anyway, this is Magic, not Yu-Gi-Oh! This card seems very good. Because, like, if you're playing control and, like, a mirror, now all of a sudden your opponent can't use their stuff at instant speed, which is a huge difference. And then you can cast your stuff at instant speed, which is crazy. I want to say they didn't ban this card only because I, like, think it's really cool. But it, like, seems you really like good. Card. It seems really good. This card seems crazy. Please tell me they didn't ban this card. I'll go with they didn't. I just don't want them to.
You're emotionally attached.
I'm getting emotionally attached to Teferi. Yes, I am. This seems really cool. I don't want them to ban it out of principle. I think it's good, but it's probably really good. And probably banned, but I'm gonna go with not banned for emotional reasons.
Teferi Time Raveler, from the moment it arrived on the scene, was a bit of a menace. It's a very good card. It's a very good card. The only times that Teferi Time Raveler, in fact, I think the only reason Teferi Time Raveler isn't known as like the best 3-mana planeswalker is because they printed Oko one set later. One set later, they printed Oko.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't realize it was the next set. That's hilarious.
Yep.
So he was the best 3-mana planeswalker for one set.
But people were still figuring it out. Like, everybody knew it was good, but they were figuring Teferi out and just how much you wanted Teferi. Teferi's +1 was used some amount. I mean, being able to cast a sorcery speed board wipe on the opponent's turn was nasty. It was absolutely nasty. The -3 was always good, and the only way Teferi was usually bad was if you had to play it on a board where you only got off the -3 to bounce like an aggro deck's one of their 3 creatures that they had gotten down, and then the other 2 like killed it, right? So that could be Teferi not doing what you want.
I just realized it could bounce opponent stuff. For some reason, I thought it was only your stuff, but that's even crazier now. Yeah.
Oh, something you may have missed.
I was waiting for you to say it.
Yeah. The tempo of Teferi. Honestly, when it came out, people weren't as high on it, which is really funny because at the time, War of the Spark was a set designed around planeswalkers. No set had done this before. They introduced like 30 planeswalkers in one set.
Oh, that's a lot.
Like the set revolved around planeswalkers. So the fact that Teferi didn't actually interact with other planeswalkers made people less high on Teferi. But obviously the format, like for the most part, over time didn't just revolve around planeswalkers. Teferi's interaction, very, very good. It's a very good card. And it's still played in CEDH and in older formats today.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah. Like, if the fact I'm thinking of this in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, that does not surprise me. This is in CEDH. Yeah.
What broke Teferi is a timing issue.
Okay.
So there are a number of cards that, like, say things like, maybe it's a sorcery, right? And it says, I'm going to use a sorcery called Finale. God, I'm getting old. It was like Finale of something. Finale of Promise. That was a card. Okay. So this is a sorcery that says cast 2 instants or sorceries from your graveyard.
Okay.
Yeah, cool card. Cool card.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Teferi Time Raveler is when it says each opponent can cast spells only at a time they could cast a sorcery, means that if you cast something that would create a casting window, such as Finale of Promise, which will then cast those cards on the spot, Teferi doesn't allow those cards to be cast at all, regardless of whose turn it is. Because what the Finale is doing is creating a little... It like creates this little bubble in time where you cast the cards, and Teferi is saying, no, you can't do that. So it basically shut that card off and cards like it completely. Cards that said exile a thing and cast it just didn't work. A whole bunch of weird timing rules things with Teferi just didn't work. I was telling you recently about a suspend card, Profane Tutor, in another video. A card coming off suspend with Teferi on the field cannot be cast.
Interesting.
It just can't be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it has these odd interactions that are actually hard to explain, and maybe somebody in comments can do a better job of it than me. But I
get it. Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh has weird stuff like this too sometimes. Yeah, I get it.
One of my favorite early Commander stories is I played against somebody who they played a deck that combo killed the whole table on turn 3, and I said, let's play again, and I'm going to play one of my spicier decks. And they went turn 1, suspend Profane Tutor, or suspend that tutor. And I went on turn 2 with a ramp piece. I played Teferi Time Raveler. It came back around to their turn. They just looked at the tutor, they looked at Teferi, and they scooped. They just got their cards and walked away.
I love it. That's Yu-Gi-Oh, baby.
Oh, it was beautiful. I was so happy. So Teferi Time Raveler then became a card that, because of its interactions in the format and the many other things that people are trying to do, and the way that it was becoming a combo format, Teferi started going in everything. There is a deck that was notoriously 3 colors, none of which were white, that started playing white just to run Teferi. And when one deck had to run Teferi, the other deck had to run Teferi, because you had to lock your opponent out, because if they were the only ones working at instant speed and they disrupted your combo, you lose. So now it was a race to see who could get a Teferi down and then try to execute a combo that Teferi did not disrupt. So Teferi was banned on the same day as Cauldron Familiar.
I'm like as you're explaining, I'm like, oh, this card's so bad. It's such a cool card, man. Oh man.
Yeah, August of 2020, they said standard seen enough. Teferi Time Raveler.
Like Teferi, I get it. The Cauldron Familiar, that's still dumb, but like whatever. Okay.
What's really funny on this one? Teferi was a month from rotating.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. They could have just waited a month, unless it was just that. I mean, unless it was just that bad. Like, I mean, I get it.
Yep, 1 month from rotation, they banned Teferi Time Raveler.
It was very funny.
Let's do another.
Oh, wow. The art on this is fucking crazy. Growth Spiral. This is a green and a blue. I would, like, hang that in my house. That's beautiful. Green and a blue for an instant. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Boy, we just talked about cantrips in the video you and I recorded, and this is this is pretty good. That's pretty good. You get to cycle it and you get to ramp. I don't know what to say, buddy. That seems really good to me. It's very green, it's very blue. Oh, man. How do I evaluate this? Let me think. So turn 2, you play it. It cycles, and you can play a land out of your hand. So you lose a card, but you go up to 3 lands. The next turn, you're at 4. Ramp piece that's... Is there... I don't know if I've seen any, like, ramp that just, like, also just, like, nets you advantage. Well, I guess I guess, like, yeah, like, because, like, I'm thinking, like, rampant growth. That's, like, you're paying and just getting a land. Like, it's kind of the same thing, because you're still going down a card. Because this, you're still going down a card, but you get to cycle the growth spiral for something else, which is cool. This triggers Omnath, notably.
What?
I just hope they didn't ban it for the art, to be honest with you.
I feel like it'd be powerful.
It'd be such a disgrace to like have like good art be banned, because then people can't play it.
True.
This is a common? This card seems crazy.
Yeah, common.
I just feel like this card's like just like always good. It's like ramp, but if you don't need it to be ramp, it just cycles. Oh man, this is tough. This one's hard. This one's really hard. This one, like, is there any context you can give me with this one?
Is there any context I can give you with Growth Spiral? I'm honestly not sure.
Okay, that's fair.
So this is legal at the same time that a lot of these cards I'm showing you. This is War of the Spark, Eldraine Standard.
Okay, so we're in like the same era. We're in the same era. Okay.
This is the Fire Design era. It's legal in the Fires of Invention era. Yep.
Okay. These cards are so hard to evaluate just because like we don't have lands. So it's like, but man, this just seems like such a good ramp card. Oh my god. I didn't say they banned Teferi. Are they going to ban Growth Spiral? I could just see, like, they could ban it on principle that, like, every deck was just, like, maxing out on this card because it just seems so good. You know what? Fuck it. They banned it. I'll go.
They banned Growth Spiral.
I'll say they banned it. Yep, I'll say they banned it.
You're looking at the art of a banned card, a common.
Yep. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say they banned it. Yep. Hey, they banned the cat, okay?
When Growth Spiral was released, it didn't get a ton of fanfare straight up. Plenty of people said it would be a good card, but it was definitely not considered one of the highlights of a set that wasn't particularly powerful in Ravnica
That's so
Allegiance.
Interesting. This card seems nuts from my perspective, but okay.
The card had a contemporary. The Explorer was a card that had existed for a long time. It was never problematic in the formats it was in for the most part. It saw play here and there, but it didn't see constant or regular play. And it was harder to cast than Explorer because it required blue mana as well.
But it's instant, though. That's what's crazy.
That is exactly what people came to discover was so good about Growth Spiral.
If it wasn't an instant, I wouldn't think it's nuts. Yeah, but the fact it's an instant is crazy. Because then you can trigger like landfall stuff on the opponent's turn.
That is also very good. The other thing about instant that is just always lovely to see in your card advantage or even your ramp effects is you have options. You can hold up the interaction, and if the opponent doesn't interact in the way that you expect them or want them to, you can just instead ramp ahead in mana and get deeper into your library. And as people played with Growth Spiral more, they realized that it was even worth it to twist your deck for Growth Spiral. What I mean by that is decks that would normally run like 25 lands were going up to 27, 28, 29 lands to make sure that their Growth Spiral also dropped a land when they wanted to. And got them into powering out powerful cards earlier and earlier and doing more and more on their turns than their opponents could do on their turns. But Growth Spiral was still not really considered much of a problem. Growth Spiral was in a lot of very good decks and people mused about its versatility, but the format was absolutely loaded with cards that were way more powerful, like Teferi Time Raveler, and way more annoying, like Cauldron Familiar. So it came as a big surprise when on the same day that they banned Cauldron Familiar, Teferi Time Raveler, they banned Growth Spiral 1 month away from its rotation. And looking back, in my honest opinion, it is because Omnath was going to be printed 1 month later.
Oh, that's so funny.
I think you found it.
That would have been nuts with Omnath. Yeah, for sure. So this was like,
they knew.
So it was like a they knew situation. It wasn't like that. It was at the moment it was a problem, but like they're like, oh, this is going. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh every now and then does like preemptively ban stuff because they know. Because in our game we have the insight of the Asian territories get all the cards first. So if there's some super degenerate combo, every now and then Konami will pre-ban or like within the first week ban like a card that they know is like problematic for like something coming up. So I get it. That makes sense. But I can't believe I was right, to be honest. I was fully expecting to be wrong. But this card seems crazy, like from a Yu-Gi-Oh player perspective.
I'm absolutely sure that it does.
Yeah.
I've got another for you.
Okay.
This one is blue.
I mean, a lot of them have been.
Really curious what you think of it. What's up, guys? I have a new partnership with Dragon Shield. They have sponsored my channel and all of my videos for this year, 2025. And all that they ask is that you go to the link in the description and use the code CGB5 at checkout to get a discount on all of your sleeves and accessories from Dragon Shield. Thank you to Dragon Shield for sponsoring this video. And remember to use that link in the description and the promo code CGB5. Now back to the video.
Agent of Treachery. It's 5 and 2 blue for a human rogue, 2/3. Stats suck. That's probably not going to matter. It enters, you gain control of okay, this is like the other card, but it's any permanent, so this does do creatures. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. We like that. We like drawing cards. But you would have to you'd have to find ways to like replay this. So you'd either have to like reanimate it or like flicker it or do something like that, which I don't think that's very difficult to do in your game. Also, it would just be so annoying. You just keep playing this and just keep taking your opponent's stuff. People hate that. It's interesting because you showed me Commandeer and now you're showing me this.
Why would I do those things?
Why would you do that?
Possibly be related.
Well, I mean, I think this is better because it's any permanent, so it means you can take creatures with it, which is very important. I don't know how relevant the second line of text is because it's hard to like tell how efficiently you can steal a bunch of your opponent's stuff. But if you're playing a deck that has like other effects that do that, it doesn't have to just be this guy. But maybe he's good enough on his own. You just play it anyway. What other, is there any other like stealing your opponent's stuff? It's permanent, right? It's like that you just get this like indefinitely until they deal with it, correct?
Actually, agent is worded such that even if you deal with the agent, they keep the permanent until something else.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. It didn't seem like it was like tied to the agent or anything. Is that like uncommon? Like usually it's like if you steal something, it's like tied to the card type of thing.
I'll show you I'll show you what's a pretty normal printing of this effect. That might help.
Sure. So yeah, that might give me some context.
Here is a rare from a recent set, Mind Flayer.
Okay, this is 3 and 2 blue for a 3/3 horror. Dominate monster. When Mind Flayer enters, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. Okay, so this is like it's tied to it. So if you kill this, you get the thing back. So that's like more common. Okay. Yeah, stealing stuff permanently is huge. Especially if it's not tied to anything either, because that means you just keep it. And if there's like, I'm just like Yu-Gi-Oh braining, just like you just like dump this to your graveyard somehow and just cheat it out for like free. You're never paying 7 mana for this. So having access to that when your opponent has like some good stuff is pretty good. And then again, if you have stuff to just like keep reanimating it or keep re-entering it, you keep taking your opponent's stuff. It's really annoying. They have to ban this? In your game specifically, I could see this potentially getting out of hand. I don't think like in Yu-Gi-Oh it would because it's like hard for us to like like we don't have like the flicker effects. Like we just have like reanimate or like cloning effects. So like you could clone this guy and then all of a sudden it's like you can take something else. And so there's like that sort of thing. Like we don't have that stuff. So I think in your game this card's way better than in our game. We also have very few cards, now that I think about it, that like take control of something permanently. That's not tied to the card itself. I'm struggling to think of one. I'm sure the comments will get to it. Given all that, maybe they did ban this. I could see this getting really annoying from like a play perspective. Sure, I'll say they banned it.
That they banned Agent of Treachery.
I think
players were angry.
I think so. I like it, like getting one thing stolen is one thing, but like if that's like the whole deck and it's like just keeps taking their stuff and you still have to deal with this, like that just seems really frustrating.
So you are looking at the card that finally in June of 2020, you're noticing a theme of all the year all these things got banned. In June of 2020, this is the card that finally got Fires of Invention banned.
Oh,
Agent of Treachery.
Okay.
And the way that it did it was actually, it was kind of clever and like super degenerate. So
I'm in.
First of all, I'm going to mention that this deck also often its 3 mana play would be Teferi so that you were locked out of doing things on their turn.
Sure, makes sense.
Its 4 mana play would often be Fires of Invention. And then the deck ran this card.
Transmogrify. 3 and a red sorcery. Exile target creature. That creature's control reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. That player puts that card onto the battlefield and shuffles their... Okay, I get it. So basically, you just play... You only play Agent of Treachery in your decks. You always hit it.
Yep. So you have Agent of Treachery in your deck, and you have these 2 cards. Now, Luca Coppercoat Outcast is a planeswalker whose -2 ability does what Transmogrify does. That's the only part that's relevant here.
Right, because you're just trying to keep copying.
It's basically 2 more of this effect in one card, which meant if the opponent didn't deal with it, it was going to happen again the next turn, because Luca was basically 2 Transmogrifies in one. And you might be wondering, where does the creature come from that you target if the only creature in your deck is Agent of Treachery? Well, we're Magic. We have creature tokens for days. So they just ran spells that made creature tokens. And then they would use, in fact, there were lands that made tokens, and you could use your lands to make the token because you play Fire of Invention, so you didn't have to tap your mana to cast these spells.
Okay.
So what would often happen is you play a Fires of Invention, and then the next turn, like, you do something that generates a token, you do something that turns the token into an Agent of Treachery, and you do another thing that turns that Agent of Treachery into another Agent of Treachery. And what did you steal?
What a cool deck. What
did you steal? What would you steal from an opponent with this play?
Their lands, right?
They rarely stole the creatures. They rarely stole the enchantments. They rarely even stole the planeswalkers. Normally, the right play with this Fire Luca deck was to go straight to their lands. If they didn't have lands in the mirror match, their Fires was not effective because you have to have lands on the battlefield to make Fires cast the spells for free. And against everything else, well, let's just say nothing is effective without lands. This was a land destruction combo deck in Standard, and everyone hated that.
Oh, I bet people don't mess with their lands. Cardinal rule, right?
Yep. And it was taking over. I think it was up to 60-something% of MPL play and on the rise. That's the Magic Pro League, by the way.
Yeah.
So in June of 2020... not that long after Ikoria was released. Let's see. Ikoria released in April. That's where Luca came from. June, they banned Agent of Treachery and Fires of Invention.
Hell yeah.
Bye-bye.
Hell yeah. Let me ask you a question. Do you think if it's a non-land permanent that this deck would still be good?
That's a great question. I honestly, would the deck be good? Yes. Would they need to ban it? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Because like the fact that it doesn't go after lands makes it way less degenerate. I still think it'd be really annoying, but no lands is a big difference for sure.
Yeah. Also, you just can't get rid of the lands. So while you can look at Agent of Treachery, and this is still a popular commander card, and people do use it, when you look at Agent of Treachery, and it says at the beginning of the end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. That wasn't the main draw to the card, obviously. Sure. Like, that was kind of the gravy as people saw it. Yeah. But if you stole 2 or 3 lands, there's no land interaction. There's no land destruction, really, that's printed in Standard anymore. So it wasn't hard to accumulate 3 of the opponent's lands. And if you got that draw 3 off one time,
it's just over.
Yes, they're buried. They're finished.
It's done. Yep.
Yeah, and also because you're land ramping when you steal lands with an Agent of Treachery, it wasn't uncommon for Teferi Time Raveler to bounce the agent and then recast it for free because of fires.
That's sick.
Once you got to 7
disgusting.
lands. And then every Teferi
God.
is another land. And
oh my God, that's gross. That's very Yu-Gi-Oh! I love it.
Yeah, this is where I go back and we talk about fire design and how fun and replayable and exciting. Anyway, they've been dunked on a lot, but
understandably,
let's just say nobody liked that. Absolutely,
I can see why. Yeah, for sure. I sense the degeneracy. I didn't realize it was as bad as it was, but I get it. Yeah, cool deck though. Like in theory, like obviously it's degenerate, but I think like conceptually, it's it's a neat concept.
Yeah, I credit the inventors of the deck 100%. Yeah. And the first time you play against it, you're like, oh my God, this actually works. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like,
I could see that. And then you're like, oh, this is like the best thing I could be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then every deck is like, well, I go second. I don't think by the time I have 3 lands, they'll have like 6 lands and 2 will be mine. Yep. It's just terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. All right. I've got one more for you from this video. We're going to do a part 2 on this Arrow Standard fire design. Okay. I have so many cards. It was actually really hard to pick. But let me show you one more for this video.
Escape to the Wilds. 3 in a red and a green, 5 total for a sorcery. Exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may play exile cards this way until the end of your turn. You may play an additional land this turn. So you still have to pay for the cards. They're not free, correct?
Yep. That would be really good.
Yeah. I think it'd be more than 5 mana if that were the case. You get to play an additional land. I guess if... God, you still have to pay 5 for this, though. I mean, you're in green. And you're in red. There's, like, stuff. Like, red cheats stuff out. And if it's Fires of Invention, who cares?
Yeah.
But you only get to play 1 card. So
yeah, that I was saying with fires, that was a bit of a nombo with escape.
Huh. Till the end of your next turn. Exile the top 5. You play until the end of your next turn. You get to play an additional land. Where's the degeneracy here? This card seems so unassuming. There's got to be something here. You still have to pay the cost, though. You still have to pay the cost. You can play a land from exile that was exiled off of this, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Because I know there's like different wordings for things, so I want to make sure. Okay, so
the wording differentials is play cards means you can play the lands. Cast spells means you cannot.
Because you can't cast a land. Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Still learning.
No, you're doing great, actually.
So you can exile 5. There's probably a land in there. You can play that. So you don't technically need the extra land in your hand. But if you're playing this on 5, you get the extra land. You only can play like a 1-cost thing. So you'd have to probably have, unless there's like some way to cheat this effect, to play the 5 where you still have mana to do something with it. So there's probably some like degenerate combo that this enables. Oh, this one's tough. This one's hard to figure out. Because then it's like, is this the thing that needs to get banned, or is it like the other stuff that needs to get banned? Because there's got to be something with this. Or this card could just suck, and you're just showing it to me just to throw me off. You technically did that with Commandeer.
Would I do that on the very last?
See, that's the thing. Like the last card is always very sacred in our videos, right? I feel like we intentionally picked the last card for a reason. You showed me 4 banned cards in a row? No, 5.
In case you can't tell, it's Eldraine era. There's a lot to choose from. I already promised you a part 2.
You did. I think you should.
And we didn't even talk. We didn't even talk about Oko.
Most of these cards have been banned. Oh God. You know what? I'm gonna go off the assumption you showed me a lot of banned cards. You ended on one that is not banned, so I'm gonna go with that.
Just that clean. You also sound like you don't think this is a particularly devastating card.
I'm trying to find I'm trying to figure out okay, there's got to be some way to cheat this so you're not paying it for 5, and then it's then you have the mana to play that off the top 5. And you get the extra land, so you technically could go to a little bit higher. But I'm struggling to see where the combo is with this, and so that's also sort of distorting my decision here. So I feel like there is something here, but even so, I also feel like they may have just banned the other cards that are part of the combo potentially. Also, you've shown me a million banned cards and only 1 or 2 not banned ones. So I think you may have ended on one to try to throw me off here. So that's where I'm going.
Escape to the Wilds was banned.
God. He got me.
Escape to the Wilds was banned on the same day that they banned Omnath.
Everything else. Oh, Omnath. Okay.
Omnath. Yep. This is October 2020. And it was... Everybody knew Omnath was getting banned. I don't think anybody would have put money on Escape to the Wilds getting banned. It was a very shocking ban. It surprised a lot of people.
Is this a dartboard ban?
Is it? So on the day that they banned it, Escape to the Wilds was seen as the best payoff, as the way to keep the train going with Omnath. So it was a very common thing on once you had 5 mana available that you would play Omnath, you would play Fabled Passage, sacrifice it, go get a land, 2 landfall triggers. So you have an untapped land and you create the 4 mana. Now you have exactly
play Escape
5.
to the Wilds.
So you cast Escape to the Wilds. Now you can play another land, which gives you the 4 damage and sets you up for your next turn. As there are probably more lands exiled, there might even be another Omnath exiled. So you are set up to do it again. Another 4 damage, another 4 life, another piece of card draw, another big mana turn. And Escape to the Wilds, I think everybody looked at Escape to the Wilds and they said, well, why are we banning this when we banned the problem, which is Omnath? Was Escape the problem? Escape got banned basically for being too much value. And it also had an important role in another deck that I'm going to save for next time.
I'm going to tease the audience. I guess that makes sense, though. Like, in the context of Omnath, because then it's like, one thing I overlooked is that it says end of your next turn. For some reason, I thought, like, the end of your opponent's turn, because, like, I'm used to that in Yu-Gi-Oh! All the time.
Oh, fair.
So I think the fact that I didn't realize, like, you still get to play the cards on your next turn before they go away permanently, I think that's something I potentially... I don't know if that would have swayed my decision the other way, but it makes sense with Omnath, because then it's like, if you generate all the mana, it's like you have, like, 2 hands at that point. So, like, I get it. Okay.
I'm mad at myself. I could have done it. I could have said the thing.
You could have said it. You could have said it. You had the chance. You had the chance.
You may have missed.
Yep.